And good afternoon, producer Susan. Are you getting all ready for Thanksgiving?
Yep.
You
How
staying
about you?
home or you traveling?
I might head to New Jersey.
Well, you got to give me a call if you got any free time. Maybe we'll get together. So anyway, any snow out your way yet?
What day did we get snow? Friday. We got some snow. Didn't really
Uh,
amount to much.
we're
The grass and the cars, but nothing on the roads.
still haven't seen it. It was 59 here in New Jersey today. So
Although I did hear some part. Well, I heard some of my friends in Jersey got like 2 inches.
yeah, up in the northwest corner. So yeah, but winter hasn't gotten here yet. So anyway, we're probably gonna do a shorter one today. It's just a couple of days. Today's Tuesday, the 26th. It's 2 days before Thanksgiving. Um, uh, and well, we still have a lot to talk about, but probably not as much as usual. So anyway, our quote of the week is from JFK on why people shouldn't fixate on either a Republican or Democrat solution to any given problem. And I think it's very appropriate given where we are, the polarization we have in the country today. And the stupidest thing I've heard all week, we'll tell you about a decision made by state and county building department officials in North Carolina that forced hurricane victims out of newly built wooden shelters back into their cloth tents. Stupidest thing I've ever heard. In our runner-up to the stupidest thing I've heard all week, we'll tell you about a mother who was arrested for letting her 10-year-old son walk less than a mile to a store and asked the question, at what distance from home does a walk by a child become unsafe? We'll tell you about which Hollywood celebrity checked him suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, checked himself into a mental health facility because he was so distraught over Trump winning the election. Um, you've heard the term peer-reviewed study, right?
Yeah.
And when you read about something about, well, this has been peer reviewed, it's been judged safe, it makes you feel pretty good when you read
Yeah.
something and the study is peer reviewed. Well, we'll tell you why you maybe shouldn't put that much faith in something just because it says, confirmed by a peer reviewed study. It's very shocking what's been happening to the peer reviewed study. And in our no good deed goes unpunished segment, we'll tell you why the head of a hospital was forced to apologize after arranging for a catered lunch as part of an employee appreciation event. So the head of the hospital in Minnesota said, "Hey, employee appreciation of the janitors, the staff, and catered lunch," and she wound up having to apologize for the catered lunch, and we'll tell you why she had to apologize. Um, did you ever participate in Pokemon Go? Or you're familiar with the Pokemon Go craze was?
Yeah. I did it when it first came out. If I was
Okay.
out walking the dog.
Well, we'll tell you why you are actually working for the company for free and how the company is profiting off your efforts and those of millions of other people. Um, and we'll tell you which high-profile New York City individual was robbed last week and who robbed her. And finally, our taxpayer relief shot this week comes to us from DeKalb County, Georgia, where a man is hiding from two home invaders in a closet with his 4-year-old son. And what happened when one of the thugs opened the closet door where he was hiding. And by the way, did I just drop out right then? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you did.
All right, got a message.
Yep.
All right, well, let me repeat that. I got an internet loss of internet signal. Anyway, so our taxpayer relief shot came to us from Georgia, where a man was hiding from two home invaders in a closet with his 4-year-old son. And what happened when one of those thugs opened the closet door? Didn't work out well for the thug. Anyway, here's a quote of the week by the late John F. Kennedy Jr. He said, "Let us not despair, but act. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future." Uh, can you digest all that? Did you get the gist of what he's saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It shouldn't be about what side of the table you're on, but what's the,
Yeah.
right, what's the best thing to do?
And frequently, what's best is neither neither the Republican proposal or the Democratic proposal. It's something in the middle. But people get so fixated and polarized, they're not willing to budge. And oftentimes, the right answer is something in the middle. So let's hope, we're not elected to the Senate or the House of Representatives, but hopefully, in our own way, we can maybe advocate for the right answer, whether it be Republican or Democrat. All right. Stupidest thing I've heard all week. Now, we all know about how the Hurricane Helene ravaged North Carolina, right?
Yes.
And we know the Amish, are great carpenters and they had all their
Yep.
crops in. Well, the Amish decided they wanted to help the people of North Carolina, many of whom had lost their homes and were living in tents. So the Amish chartered a bus. 57 of them went down to Western North Carolina, and they had donations. They had people that donated money. They had lumber yards, and they were building these 8 by 16 wooden shelters. So, well, you've seen these tough sheds, these little tool sheds. They're
Yep.
about the size of two tool sheds, and they were
Yep.
temporary shelters. They could put up. They were building up the rate of 4 per day, 8 foot by 16 foot, wooden floor, sloped roof, solar panel on top that would power a single light bulb, and even a USB charging port for your cell phone to get the people out of their tents, off the ground, into a wood floor shelter. Well, the county building officials and the state building officials came back and told all the people you had to get out of those shelters because they don't meet our building code. Now, these were not meant to be homes. They've got no plumbing, no water, no toilets because they still had to use porta potties and portable showers.
They're sheds.
They were sheds, but they just to get you out of the rain and off the dirt. Um, so no, you can't occupy. They don't meet our building code, so you can't stay overnight in these little wooden
Ridiculous.
shelters.
But a
But it's
cloth
okay.
tent is okay.
But it's okay to go back in your cloth tent, which also doesn't meet a building code, right?
Hmm.
So how stupid is that they wouldn't let them stay overnight in these wood floor wooden shelters with a light and a USB charging cable? I mean, is
That is absurd.
that
Around
is
here, there's a lot of Amish people around here, and everybody knows if you want a new roof or a new deck, you call the Amish people because they do the best work, the fastest, and the cheapest.
right? And they were doing this for no pay. They were
Mhm.
volunteering. They came down and they all the material was being donated, the money, and people were donating food, because they were working and people were donating money so they could feed themselves. And yes, so the state and county building officials told everybody who had moved into these wooden shelters, you can't stay overnight in these shelters because they don't meet our building code. Well, duh, do your tent, but it's okay to go back and spend the night in your cloth tent. I mean,
The
how
elements.
incredibly stupid is that?
Yeah.
So, all right, our runner-up. When you were in fifth grade, what's the furthest you would walk from your house to go someplace to the corner store or a school or something? How far would you walk?
Half a mile to half a mile to a mile.
Same with me. I remember where I was when I was in fifth grade, and I would walk. In fact, my mother wouldn't let me walk. She would send me. We had a bakery, and for a time we were a one-car family. We only had one car, and my father took it to work. So if it was, after school, my mother wanted something from the bakery, some bread or some rolls, she would give me some money. She'd say, walk over to the bakery, which was about 10 blocks away, pretty close to a mile. And, I'd go to the bakery and I'd pick some stuff and I'd bring it back. Or there was a grocery store there too. Well, anyway, in Georgia, a mother, she had to go take her daughter to the doctor or something, and a 10-year-old was there, and he said, "Can I go to the store?" And she said, "Sure, I'll be back in an hour." Well, somebody saw this 10-year-old kid walking near a convenience store, and somebody called the cops, and the cops came in and said, "Who are you? Where do you live?" And this was less than a mile from her house. And the police took the kid, brought him back to the house, waited for the mom. When the mom got there, they arrested her for child neglect. Now, here's my question. Most school districts won't pick up your child. If you live within a quarter of a mile of school, they won't stop and pick your kid up. Your kid has to walk to the school. That's pretty standard, right?
Yep. Yep.
So my question is this: if 3/4 of a mile is a dangerous walk and a quarter of a mile is not dangerous, at what point is it a quarter of a mile plus 100 yards? Is it a quarter of a mile plus 500 yards? At what point does the a walk by a 10-year-old go from safe to dangerous? What's
Good
the magic
question.
number?
I mean, a lot of kids, especially living in, the city, and I remember, living in Jersey and in second grade, walking to school, and it was, I don't know, it was a few blocks, maybe a half a mile.
Right. So my question is, so if you walked a half a mile plus 500 feet, did that suddenly become a dangerous walk? And what's so special? At what point does the walk go from being a safe walk to a dangerous walk?
The
I
roads on
mean,
which they travel, I mean,
I mean, but that's how stupid this was. I
yeah.
mean, again, when I was in fifth, 10 years old, you're in fifth grade, I would frequently walk a mile, not because I was allowed to, because my mother would even send me, you get here, we need some bread for dinner. Here's $2, go get a loaf of bread for dinner at the bakery, which was, probably wasn't quite a mile, it was probably close to a mile. So all of a sudden, how sheltered and paranoid have we become that a kid in fifth grade, 10-year-old kid in fifth grade can't walk a mile without the mother getting arrested for child neglect. So that was my
So I
runner-up,
just Google mapped my second grade walk was point 0.4, which is just under a half a mile.
just under a half a
And that was
mile.
second grade,
And
7
that
years,
was second grade. So you were what, six,
seven,
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 seven.
seven
You
years
were
old.
7 years old. You were 7 years old.
Yep, it's point four miles via Google.
And again, so if you went another 500 yards, would that have gone from being an acceptable safe walk to an unsafe walk?
I mean, I suppose the kids that lived at, bottom of the street from me had a half a mile walk because they had to walk the extra tenth up the hill.
Well, anyway, so that's our runner-up to the stupidest thing I've heard all week. All right. Now you've heard of Trump derangement syndrome, right? And we
Yep.
we talked last week about people
Yep.
taking a 4-year cruise so they don't have to set foot in the United States while Trump is president. We've talked
Yep.
about and we've played clips of people crying and sobbing because Trump was arrested president. And by
hmm
the way, Ellen DeGeneres and her girlfriend Portia, whatever her name was,
Rossi. Yeah.
they've officially emigrated to the UK, by the way. Um, But we all know who Rob Reiner is, producer, director. He used
Yep.
to be on All in the Family.
Yep.
Last week, he checked himself into a mental health facility because he was so distraught at Trump winning the election.
Ugh.
So Rob Reiner checked himself into a mental health facility because he was distraught over Trump winning the election. This is the gift that just keeps on giving. It never ends. Just never ends. Anyway. So let's move on to peer-reviewed drug studies. So if a pharmaceutical company publishes a report touting the safety and efficacy of one of their new drugs and tells you that the study has been peer-reviewed, if you're a doctor, you'd feel pretty good about prescribing it for some of your patients, right?
Yeah.
Because, hey, they're telling me this is a safe and effective drug and it's been peer-reviewed. Here's the study. And if you were one of the patients, the study might make you less fearful of taking that brand new drug, right?
hmm
But what if someone told you that the drug and medical device manufacturers had paid over $1 billion to those journals and individuals doing those peer reviews? Would you feel the same way about the reliability of those peer-reviewed studies? I mean, if somebody's paying you $1 billion a year to write favorable studies, how much reliance are you going to put in those studies, right?
Yeah.
So here's the quote from the story, and the link to this, producer Susan, hopefully you can put it up on the
Yeah,
website.
absolutely.
And here's the quote. It said the researchers found that 59% of the identified peer reviewers received at least one industry payment, including general payments, research payments. Overall, reviewers received 1.06 billion in industry payments during the study period, including 1 billion to individuals or their institutions and 64 billion in general payments. Consulting fees accounted for 34.3 million and speaking compensation unrelated to continuing medical education programs accounted for another 11.8 million. Among reviewers receiving such payments, the median general payment was 7,614 and the median research payment, ready for this, was $153,173. Um, Now, if you're one of these people who do peer reviews and you're getting uh, well, first of all, if you're an independent guy and you're getting, or doctor or scientist, and you're getting $7,600 every time you do a favorable review, or if you're an institution and you're getting 153,000, and you know that if you write an unfavorable review, you're probably never going to see another. You're never going to be given another opportunity from this particular company that asked you to do the last one. How motivated are you going to be to come out with a favorable rating of the study?
There should be no money involved. This shouldn't even be a question. Period. There should be zero money involved.
Right. So I was just blown away that there's basically in the 3-year period. Again, these are drug manufacturers and medical device, people that make artificial hips and artificial knees. They have paid $1 billion to doctors and institutions, including medical, colleges, universities, to review to review the studies and give them a favorable. Yes, we agree with we agree with the results of the company generated study. That's what they're saying. And again, if you're making this kind of money and you're asked to review and you're getting to do 3 or 4 or 5 of these every year, how likely is it are you going to disagree with the results of the study?
Yeah,
So,
again, there shouldn't be any money involved, period.
all right. Yeah. So anyway, so that was a shock to me. I assume that I assume that was how it was, that there was no money involved, but shock to me that yes, there's
I mean,
a
this
lot of
is like,
money.
Consumer Reports. They don't accept any advertising on their website or magazine. Zero advertising, $0.
And that's the way it should be. I think if you're
Yeah,
talking drugs and medical devices, I think that should be that way.
absolutely.
Anyway, so people, if somebody says, "Well, this brand new drug, the peer-reviewed study," take that with a huge grain of salt. All right, hospital in Minnesota, they organized an employee appreciation day, and they told all the employees, rather than eat in the company cafeteria, we're going to cater a lunch. We're going to have food brought in. We're going to have an auditorium, and we're going to have awards and whatnot. Anyway. They chose the local Chick-fil-A restaurant and they had sandwiches and side dishes brought in, French fries, coleslaw. Um, uh, and it was a free lunch. Well, apparently some of the hospital employees were not fans of Chick-fil-A. And by the way, Chick-fil-A restaurants by and large are independent franchises, right?
Mhm. Yep. Yeah.
Well, apparently some of the hospital employees who were gay were not fans of Chick-fil-A corporate management that A, chooses to honor God by not being open on Sundays.
Mhm.
And their founder and CEO makes contributions to organizations like the Salvation Army, which some gay people view as anti-gay. Well, they were offended that the hospital chose Chick-fil-A as the supplier of the lunch, even though the local franchisee has nothing. And by the way, it has been documented that both of course, franchisees are free to hire wherever they want. And it's been documented that at the Chick-fil-A corporate headquarters, they have a significant number, of gay employees. So they do not discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation, gender. They have openly gay people working at the corporate headquarters. So they are not anti-gay. Um, but apparently that wasn't good enough for some of the gay or trans employees at the hospital, and the hospital wound up issuing an apology to the staff for choosing Chick-fil-A. I think uh, if I was that hospital administrator, I would have just said, "Suck it up, Buttercup." What do you think?
I mean, can't people just enjoy their free lunch and just leave
Yeah,
it at
yeah.
that?
I mean, that that almost made the stupidest thing I've heard all week comment that that A, they complained about it, then B, the hospital caved and apologized for having the food come from a local independent franchise Chick-fil-A franchisee.
And part of having that franchise, by the way, which I was involved in locally, is that when you sign that franchise contract, that's part of the contract is that you are not open on Sundays.
Yep. And by the way, the founder says, that's to honor God and to give all employees a chance to worship on Sunday.
And for, those in New Jersey, I love this about Jersey. Specifically Bergen County, New Jersey. There's still blue laws in effect in Bergen County. I think they should have blue laws everywhere. I think there should be blue laws on Thursday, on this Thursday, Thanksgiving Thursday, with the stores not being allowed to open.
I agree.
I mean, I figure if a progressive county like Bergen County can still to this day in the year 2024 enforce blue laws on Sunday, everybody can do it.
Right. Yeah, like for instance, in Bergen County, New Jersey, if you have a liquor store, you have to be closed on Sunday. Card.
Most stores are closed on Sundays except for only the necessities, which would be grocery stores. And I believe even within the grocery store, there's certain products they won't sell you unless they're necessities.
Yep, you got that right. So yeah, anyway, so that's another stupid thing that happened this past week. All right, so let's move on to Pokemon Go. For those people not familiar with the game, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it, you would download an app
Yep.
and you would search for um, there were like prizes and
Yep.
creatures that you
Mhm.
could only see on your phone. In other words,
Yep.
if you were at a certain spot, if you were standing on a street corner and you look down, you wouldn't see anything. But if you look through your phone,
Yep.
you would there could be something right in front. It was a virtual.
Yep.
It could be a token. It could be a creature, and you would take a picture of it, right?
Yep.
And you would get points, and you could score. You could get scores by the more avatars you could find and photograph, the
Mhm.
more points would win. And I understand, even though the app was free, there were what they call in-app purchases. You could buy lures like for 50 cents. You could buy something that would make it easier to find these
Mhm.
creatures and these tokens, right?
Yeah, I didn't, I never, I used the free app and it was just something fun to do when I was walking my dog around the neighborhood.
Right, to find these things that you can only see if you look through your phone. Well, anyway, guess what? It turned out that the company that was doing that, what they were really doing, they were getting millions of people because you would have to take a picture, which went back through the app back to the company. They were using these people to do geo mapping for them, and they have now amassed this incredible database of pictures. Like if you do like Google
Yep.
Street View, whatever,
Hmm.
and with artificial intelligence now, I think it was Nintendo, if I'm not mistaken, they have amassed this literally hundreds of millions of pictures,
Hmm.
which they have now put into a geomapping database, which they are now selling and licensing to companies for millions and millions of dollars. So while you were playing this game, you were actually working for the company for free, helping them build this massive geomapping database. Did you know that?
No, I didn't, but the that was pretty clever of them.
And if you were buying these special, enhancements, 50 cents here, a buck here, you were actually paying, you were working for them and you were paying them to work for them. How's that work?
Yeah.
So, and if you want to read the whole story, I've got it's live science, art, and again, they are licensing all of this database of tens of millions of pictures to other companies for the geomapping. Um, it's a too much to read here, but it's a great story. So if you played it or any of your kids play it, you were actually working for free for this company. So anyway, all right, we've all heard about Venezuelan gang members, right? We've heard
Yep.
about them in
Yep.
Denver and Texas and all these other places, Trende Awaga. Anyway, guess who was attacked and robbed in New York City?
Who was it?
Well, you heard the name Alvin Bragg, right?
Wasn't it the assistant district attorney? Did I hear?
Yeah, well, it was his assistant.
Or his assistant?
The Manhattan District Attorney is Alvin Bragg. Anyway, his assistant was attacked and robbed by an illegal immigrant from Venezuela with 5 prior arrests in the last 12 months. This
Wow.
illegal immigrant from Venezuela has been arrested 5 times since 2023, and he attacked and robbed
Mhm.
Alvin Bragg's assistant. Oh, and by the way, he was staying in a hotel room paid for by the taxpayers in New York City. That's kind of the icing on the cake. All right. How much time we got?
You have about 10 minutes.
All right. I told you we're going to finish early. All right. So we're going to move on to our taxpayer relief shot, and here's why we call them taxpayer relief shots. There we go. All right.
If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. Hopefully, you'll save the taxpayers money.
And since we have some extra time, we haven't heard from Sheriff Grady Judd in a while. So here's a couple from Sheriff Grady Judge also down in Polk County, Florida.
But we have received information in social media that some of the criminals were going to take their criminal conduct into the neighborhoods. I would tell them, if you value your life, you probably shouldn't do that in Polk County, because the people of Polk County like guns. They have guns. I encourage them to own guns, and they're going to be in their homes tonight with their guns loaded. And if you try to break into their homes to steal, to set fires, I'm highly recommending they blow you back out of the house with their guns.
And one of my all-time favorites, and I think you like this one too.
I would highly suggest that if a looter breaks into your home, comes into your home while you're there to steal stuff, that you take your gun and you shoot him. You shoot him so that he looks like grated cheese.
And for those who haven't heard the math, if a thug gets arrested, first of all, and he pleads not guilty, he gets a court-appointed attorney. The average trial with a court-appointed attorney, if you add up his defendant, the cost of the judge, the cost of the prosecutors, the money paid to the jury, the bailiff, and everything else, it's about a $200,000 trial to hold a felony trial. And then if he goes to jail, it's now up to $80,000 a year to send a thug to jail for 10 years. So, yeah, $200,000 for the trial and 10 years at $80,000 a year. It's $1 million a year to arrest a thug and send him to jail for 10 years. That's why we call him. So, and what the sheriff of Santa Rosa County was saying about saving taxpayers money, if you shoot the thug and kill him, you save the taxpayers $1 million as opposed to having him arrested. Anyway, so here's this father. He hears two guys breaking the house. He's home alone with his 4-year-old. Well, he's home not alone, but it's just him and his 4-year-old son. He hears him breaking in. He grabs his gun, grabs his 4-year-old son, and hides in the closet because he does not want to have a confrontation. He's just hoping they'll take some stuff and leave. And here's what happens.
Story: a father hiding in a closet with his 4-year-old son shot and killed an intruder. Another intruder got away. News Since 4, Channel 2's Liz Arts live in DeKalb County, where neighbors say the suspects used to live in the neighborhood.
People out here are telling us that the suspect who was shot and killed was very well known in this neighborhood. In fact, they just moved out a short time ago. We also got a look at the family of the father who was hiding in the closet with his son. His son was smiling and seemed to be happy. It looks like he's going to be okay. I'm going to step out of the way because it is still a very active scene out here. Detectives on the scene. The building is roped off. Police tell us that the second intruder is still on the run.
It's very scary, I am scared myself. By the guy, so I'm so uncomfortable living in the neighborhood. I've been here since 2009. It just got rough.
Neighbors were frightened when they heard about the latest break-in at Farrington Ridge. They were horrified when they learned a 4-year-old boy witnessed his dad shooting and killing a home invasion suspect. The child, seen here with his mom, seemed to be in good spirits.
This is about the worst that I've heard. This is about the worst that I've heard.
Two guys went into the wrong home, and they were met by a homeowner who was there protecting himself and a 4-year-old.
Police told us Friday 2 men burst through the door of 1104 Farrington Ridge Circle and were robbing the place as a father and his 4-year-old hid in an upstairs closet. When the intruders opened the closet door, the father fired a round, killing one suspect. The other got away.
Wasn't bothering anybody in the back room, watching television. When these subjects came in, very much unexpected. We don't have any reason at this point to believe that any of them knew each other.
Residents say break-ins have been bad in the neighborhood, but told us police have been responding.
Police presence is real strong out here. They're out here every day. And they cracking down on it. They not taking it anymore.
They say residents are fed up too.
People just tired of their houses being broken in around here, and they not putting up with it anymore.
Do not believe that the intruders and the homeowner knew each other in any way, and they do not believe that any charges will come for the homeowner. They simply think that he was protecting his family and his property. Live in DeKalb County, Liz Arts, Channel 2 Action News.
On another breaking story.
So the bad guy wound up DRT, huh?
Right there.
All right. I'm getting another unstable internet connection. Can you still hear me? Yes?
Yep, you're just a little broken up.
All right.
Yeah, you're a
All
little
right.
broken up.
All right. Anyway, we're running out of time here, but and we're losing our internet connection. Anyway, um, for those, I want to thank everybody for taking some time out of your day to listen to me. Um, and if you want to see some of the materials and story links you heard me talk about today, give producer Susan a couple of days, and she'll get them up on the Jerzee Joe website at jerzeejoe.com. That's spelled J-E-R as in Robert, Z as in zebra, E-E, Jerzee, jerzeejoe.com. If you want to send me an email with a comment, question, or suggested show topic, you can do that by sending me an email to joe@jerzeejoe.com. Just remember to spell Jersey with an R, a Z, and two E's. And on that, producer Susan, got anything else you want to add?
Enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday.
You too. You have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you next week. You take care.
All right.
Drive safe. Bye-bye.